long time. And with that, we're getting straight in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Frisian Marshes. That's right, you are not seeing things. That is indeed TheMista on your screen. The legend from Greece, the farming AoE4 hybrid hero, playing as the Rus, coming up against HuT, a very, very strong player from Australia, playing as the French civilization. And they are on this beautiful map, Frisian Marshes, and looks not too dissimilar from the last one. Very nice and even again. I love the design, love the patterns. KP, what are you feeling about this one?
Well, I'm excited to see who's going to come out ahead here, because, you know, if you just had this, like, M4C days, no offense to HuT, but Mr., like, you've seen as a top 8 player, we feel pretty good about his odds, but out of his own admission, he said, you know, I've only been, like, warming up the last 3 days. I'm not exactly, like, full heated up yet. HuT, of course, has been grinding a bit more consistently, could have the edge, but the curveball, the hot detail here is that this is a new map, so everyone is right now getting to grips with this, and it's going to be interesting to see who at the end will be able to, in the loudest voice possible, yell out, "This is my swamp."
You know what? First of all, great. Look at those sheep from HuT. That is some serious sheep gathering. Looking at this, I would think, did he manage to snipe that wolf?
I think...
Oh, that was really close.
No, I'm pretty sure HuT still got it, but like Mr. has a lot of gold coming his way from the sheep with the wolves as well. Like I think he has, what, 3-4 wolves still chasing him? And he's still cleaning up deer as well. Cleaning up deer from HuT's side of the map, by the way.
And you know what, like, something about TheMista, we've got to be fair to TheMista, right? Like, how hard it is to come straight back in, playing at, like, a high level. He's already, I think, surpassed some expectations and running this deep. He's not been playing, like, at all. And as we saw in the beginning of Golden League, without, like, disrespecting anyone, coming right in at the top level and expecting to steamroll through doesn't happen. It's really, really hard, like, and you can really get caught off guard when you come back into this game without having played for a while at the top level. And
well, it's because people don't understand your playstyle because a bit like you've been missing for so long, right? Like you can do something completely different. This is where I think this type of format is very different to being on a LAN. So when you're on a LAN, like when you're in a highly intense situation with just a week of like gameplay for say $500,000 prize pool, whatever it is, the way it usually works is you get the first 2 days to kind of be the meta setter, right? You get to dictate whether your style of play is correct. Even after the first day, there'll be people that then start going, okay, our style of meta doesn't work. We need to try and adopt yours. The interesting part for Mr. is like, because this is a very open format point and there's less pressure, you don't have that kind of bow to someone else's style. You have a lot of variability to explore your own. And I think it's this type of format that might enable Mr. to qualify to Red Bull Wololo Legacy quite easily off of his sheer talent. Because if he approaches the meta differently, and he's able to expand that in a completely different direction, he might be able to become the trendsetter. Whereas if you do a different meta and it doesn't work out in the first 2 days of a week-long event, you don't really have the time to double down. You have to go, I guess I'll try this instead because our style isn't working right now.
yeah, no, absolutely feels that way. And we're going to start seeing this dynamic, this Frisian Marshes dynamic, where you kind of just jump pond to pond trying to protect it. No wheelbarrow, as Litakor helpfully shows us from Mr. And that is a great example, probably of just rustiness, I would think. That's just rustiness. I see a few people coming into chat saying, what is this map we're seeing? Yes, you're looking at Frisian Marshes, the new map created by Adney in the competitive map pool. But really, really interesting to see. And he does have professional skills. So, I mean, is Mr. playing like a bit of an old meta here? Has he just forgotten wheelbarrow?
I don't know if he's going for Pro Scouts yet. Like, he's holding the gold, so it could be. I'd be very surprised. Like, Pro Scouts isn't a good choice against the French because the Knights can actually kill you when you go for the second tier stack because there'll be at least 2 in the field. And it's very difficult. If you go into, like, if you think of the cost of getting into Pro Scouts, it's the cost of getting 2 Knights out. So you won't even have anything to guard against that. Might be a little bit dicey. I'm hoping Miss is not going to do it. He's missing the wheelbarrow. You definitely feel like he wasn't that active in Golden League because, of course, we have to remember Golden League is when things really were innovated for the Rus when they opened up with the ball pull. But considering he hasn't got wheelbarrow and we're now 5 minutes in the game, I don't see this being a ball play at all from Mr.
It's just hard to know if he's forgotten wheelbarrow.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be Pro Scouts. It has to be when you've got 5. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go for it. Into the stable. So he's delaying it slightly, which I'm kind of okay with because like you need a few spearmen out first. But right now, if you don't go pro scouts, you built 5 scouts, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's like an overboom in the scout department. Usually most players will stop at 3 or 4 scouts total because it's much easier to repay off of the bounty system what you invested. Remember, each of these scouts is 70 food, and that means you want to make at least that much back in gold from hunting. Well, there's only so much hunt on the map, so when you go up to 5, 6, 7 scouts, it feels now impossible, no matter how fast you are, to get enough bounties to justify it. Whoopsie. Sir?
Uh-oh. 2 of them!
Well, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no,
I
out.
don't know how he got 2, but they ain't going to be there long.
No way. Welcome back to the game, mister. That is no way.
Well, the good news is now Mr. doesn't have to worry about pro scouts because he just got a lot less sexy.
Welcome back to AoE4, mister. I'm sure you've missed it. I'm sure you've missed the pathing very much.
Oh, it's 2 TCs.
Yikes.
It's 2 TCs. Mister's going for a second TC. Please put on the fish. Do not put on the boar. The boar is bad. Fish is better. And that's a really good fish as well. The woodline as well. He'll be able to extend out. Yeah, this is high value.
Oh, it's between the 2 ponds.
Go, baby.
Oh,
yes.
That's so good. That's so good. Oh, he's gonna be. Oh, that is such a nice build. Gonna be going through both of the fish at the same time. That's really, really nice. That food gather rate is gonna be crazy.
He beats HuT to it because HuT's going for it as well. He's saving up the stone. The difference is that you don't know Mister's doing this. He should know you're doing it because where did he lose those scouts? Do you remember, Pesti? It's on the stone line.
Oh, God.
So he saw him gathering there.
Oh, so he knows exactly what's up, but he's. HuT's just got the one little pond, and the reality is you're going to go through that really, really fast. Getting it in that perfect spot between the 2 ponds, that's fantastic. That's going to make a significant difference. I love that. That is just really, really strong. Oh, wow. That is going to be... And we're going to see now, if Lidicor clicks on the fish, just how quick those fish deplete and how quick he goes through those fish. It is just... watching the number just go down is unbelievable. Look at that.
That's just 4 villages.
Wow.
That's just 4.
Oh, that's just... He's gone both sides at the same time.
By the way,
that food eco is going to be huge.
We're not the only ones getting this. This isn't a private audience for us in the stream. HuT sees this as well. He scouted it out perfectly, so he knows that it's 2 TCs versus 2 TCs. Still a very respectable position to be in as the French, because of course you do build villages faster. And now, if you just both end up eco-booming up, I feel like you're actually pretty content for the French player. Like, if anything, I want to see Mister try to find a way to ram rush down this extension. But so far, he's only built the spears. There's no archery ranges. There's no push into knights. So he doesn't have any way of getting rid of HuT's second TC.
Look at that fish. It's almost done, as Lidicor's showing us. That is a Matilda moment once again. That is a Matilda moment. Is that, if you've just joined the stream, no idea what that means, but that is just unbelievable. That is speed running fish. They like their fish, those French villagers, but both, it's actually very interesting. I wonder, like, if they've trained, they're very similar, the kind of approaches that they've both taken, or maybe that's just already just instantly the meta on this map.
It just makes sense. It's like, it's huge gains. Like, the gathering rate on food, just to remind people, I'm going to keep saying it until it's drawn in your head, because apparently Relic doesn't want to add a tooltip to the game for it. You gather food from shoreline fish with villages at 1 food a second. That is notably quicker. It's over 10% quicker than gathering from boar. It's actually crazy.
That is absolutely insane. Almost feel like I need to put a command on this stream with the map. So many people are asking, for those that have just joined, brand new map created by Adney, that we're trying out some new maps. We're going to keep trying them out for AoE4 esports. I think this has been a resounding success. Maybe you could let us know in the chat, success or not success. Put a 1 in the chat if you're enjoying Frisian Marches, 2 if you're not. Put a 1 if you think this needs to be back in the map pool next weekend, because I think I know what side of that I'm personally standing on, and chat is alive with ones of people enjoying this map. Wow, look at it go. Lots and lots of love. And Warbot choosing that moment for a sneaky prime right in the middle of those ones. Back to the game right now, and I mean, no one's actually putting on any kind of aggression in terms of military right now, although we're finally seeing HuT moving across the map, maybe thinking about doing something.
He's got 3 knights in the field.
Very finely poised. Yeah, just at 3 knights.
But this is the crazy part. Like, Mister's going to catch him off guard with this. He's built 6 knights. So he's vastly outnumbered. And this is dangerous because if you look at that pocket eco, look how many villages in this area. He's trying to build up an outpost now, but he doesn't have enough room to safely garrison them all. That's a point of exposure. And right now, you're neck and neck on the village account, so that would be quite the stinger.
That would be, yeah, this is one of those matches, even though it's not a mirror, it has such a mirrory feel that losing 2 or 3 villages is really going to like feel like a significant loss.
Because they're playing very similar styles. I know one's pushing archers, one's pushing spears, and well, you can see HuT's actually doing all 3 now. But like realistically, the focus was that they've both gone into multi-TC and they're both pushing knights. And although you should be able to be ahead as the French, the problem you have is like in the eco department, it's kind of deceitful because the French do build villages slightly faster, but the Rus get the Golden Gate. And the Golden Gate is the best economic landmark at tier 2 in the game. It's one of the best landmarks. I would say it's the best landmark in the game, simply because of when you get it and how it keeps value as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm. One of the few landmarks that like you build it right at the beginning of the game and still do work for you, you know, at the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, and you don't really give up anything good, right? Like your alternative is a Kremlin, so it's basically just a wooden fortress. It's not good. And,
right.
and like I don't think anyone can name me a better like landmark. Like if you try Ark and Chapel has big limitations, like its AoE is like hard to work around. Also, especially because the HRE like built condensed with it at the beginning. Like what other comparisons have you got? Like I guess you can say School of Cavalry is very important as well, but like it's not an economical one, right? School of Cavalry is another landmark that is phenomenal value because it decreases the production speed on your knights, on all your stable units, in fact. But like in terms of economical ones, I think Ark and Chapel has a lot more limitations than Golden Gate does.
Yeah, no, it feels like it loses significance throughout the game a bit, right? Whereas this just doesn't. Big raid coming in from TheMista. Can it take a few villages out here? Or maybe he's not. Nice reaction.
Yeah, he's going to be blocked out a little bit here, but he is still keeping the numbers ahead of HuT in the Knight department. He's just looking for that skirt opportunity, that breach. As it stands, TheMista, I think this is all a distraction. He's starting to accrue resources to the castle. The brilliant thing for him is when he castles up, like he's got plenty of knights that are going to benefit a lot from that tech up.
I'm just impressed by how, generally good Mister's APM looks coming straight back. Like, I know he wasn't really going to come straight back into these events. Like, I thought he would take a week or 2 to get warmed up and play a bit, but looking perfectly fine. Wouldn't say in control totally, but look at that reaction right there again with the knight. He's reacting.
I'd say he's
good.
very much in control, actually. Like, it's because when you're French, you don't want to be contained like this. French are meant to do this to their opponents. And this is just looking trivial.
Yeah.
Like, Mister's doubling up the knight count right now. Spears are being matched, and HuT can't afford to go into archers because there's too many knights in the field. This is actually a brilliant strategy by Mister. He saw HuT push archers. His reaction was to push even more knights because it invalidates the ability to even think about going archers for HuT, which is the most natural choice that French players make. They want to set up archery ranges so that if they do eventually tech up, they can switch from archers into arbaletriers because, as we've all experienced in late game French, they love their knights and they love their arbaletriers.
Still going at it with those pawns right next to his town center, Mister. Love that play. Love that play very much.
It's still, like, it's a fair point to highlight there. Like, wheelbarrow is still not being taken. The reason this is a big deal, more so than maybe if you're playing one of our vanilla maps, is you're playing a lot of shoreline fish. And shoreline fish involves a lot of walking. And remember that these aren't game. They're not boars and they're not deers. You don't get these increased capacities when you carry back. You're picking up 10 and you're walking back right now.
And wait, the wheelbarrow, yeah, that's
Yes. So it adds in 4 and you move quicker, right? Like, it's actually a really big deal that you haven't got it.
Over the course of the game, that's just going to add up so much. I mean, at this stage, it might have been by design at the beginning, but it's not now. At this stage, it's just a mistake. It's just,
I feel like he's just forgotten it.
Which is one of the things.
But to his credit, like, he's still ahead. That's the remarkable part. You know, this is Mister clearly not warmed up by the fact he doesn't have wheelbarrow. That should be a clear kind of obvious point around it. So if this isn't Mister's final form, I'm getting a little bit spooked for other players that are hoping to yoink themselves an easy spot at Wololo.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, and like Mister, God, if this is Mister after 2 or 3 days of coming back, you certainly fancy him to have a decent shot at making it in the end of it. And now a big confrontation happening, but more coming in.
Second wave's going to clash on the backside. That's going to pinch him in. HuT won't be able to retreat away easily here. peels off just in time. The spear's going to be sacrificed, though. They have to stand and fight. A bad fight there for HuT. Even with the delayed reinforcements, Mista is able to keep control. Good news, at least for HuT, is he at least shrunk the knight count somewhat, but the bigger concern now is the spear quantity. Mista, he's gone from quality into quantity as he throws crap at HuT, now up to 30 spearmen in the field.
And you really felt that HuT thought he did okay in that fight, and it worked out okay for him, and then bam, pincer move comes in, and it wasn't such a close fight after all. In the meantime, those spears slightly out of position there, but I don't think it's going to matter. Take a little look at those military numbers, 44 to 20.
They're like out of position, they just dive deeper. He doesn't care right now because they're so cheap for what they're achieving. Like even if he sends in 30 spearmen and loses like 3 of them, but he denies 5 villagers gathering, in his eyes, that's good enough because it keeps him ahead.
God. And again, just one more shout out to Adney, who has somehow simultaneously created what feels like the most boomy and most aggressive map at the same time. Like the resource boom, like just like the income is so big, but it's so open and aggressive. That is just a recipe for such a good map. Like normally maps are aggressive because you're starved early of resources and you've got to be aggressive, you've got to expand.
And
but this isn't what's happening here.
That's why I fought tooth and nail for this. Like I said, this has to happen because, like, you know, you can say, oh, this just enables aggressive civs more. Yeah, I can see where you're kind of coming from, but I think there's a lot of upsides for more defensive civs as well. What this is meant to do is overall with any civ is trying to encourage you to play the map instead of just playing your starting point. And I prefer that. Like I'm kind of sick and tired of us having our scene kind of dominated by these iRush Castle Imperial Age strategies. Like the way that they're being like drawn into feudal for so long is what's making this very enjoyable. Things are actually happening. You can make mistakes. You're encouraged to try for areas that will force mistakes. And now look at this out of Mista. The placement on this high trade house. Well, he just found a beauty because that's a lot of clustered trees around him and a big fat wood line to the south side. I wonder what number we're going to get there, Pesti.
Go on, give a guess.
178. No. 78. 178.
211.
You're reaching big.
Nope.
It's not jumped the gun. He's not up yet. I've been disappointed by a lot of tree lines. Actually, this will probably be 189.
211. Bang on, give it to me. Go on. Wait.
256! Oh, lordy, have mercy on me. I've been disappointed too often by high trade houses, as you can tell recently. Good God. That's 2.5 relics. And he can get the other relics, by the way, because HuT's stuck. He keeps reinvesting. And Mista knows this because he keeps seeing more knights coming out. So HuT can't get up. He's got issues. He's got bigger issues because he's losing eco as well. Neck and neck again. And folks, reminder, if you're playing 2TC versus 2CC and you're the French player, you should not be neck and neck 18 minutes into the game.
No, those villager counts absolutely identical, but HuT, oh, if he cannot find a way to get to tech up, he's in so much trouble. And right now he's got to keep reducing it. He's get on top of these.
Sir, you have problems. You have run. So many are still dead.
And a lot went down there. Look at that. Villager cap has gone to 10 just like that.
He ain't done. And this is all because HuT got baited. He's chasing these spearmen still. And yeah, you wiped this, but I'm more concerned about your villager count. The amount of damage is going to be done elsewhere. And the brilliant thing about Mista, he kept running away to get the tech up. So even though he'll lose the army, they'll trade reasonably well considering the investment on both sides.
Those spearmen, they did some work on those knights as well. I mean, like, it's not like
It's not like he killed a lot, but it's heavy damage done. And the problem right now is HuT doesn't have time to use Chivalry to heal up. He's running from fire to fire trying to put them out. And it means he'll never get that passive downtime where he'll be able to casually heal up.
That is a serious, that villager gap up to 10 now, and I just don't see a route for HuT to take up because he cannot pause making units for 1 second.
No.
Villagers going down around the town center. There's not enough room to garrison them all here. He's going to get around the ones on the mill too. And look at that, Mr. APM. He's coming up to. Oh my God, so many villagers around that middle are about down. So many.
He's about to get more chunky as well. He's upgrading the health. He's about to juice these knights up further, so it'll be even harder to kill soon. As you can see, he's going in the boys' fortitude. These bulky boys, they'll keep diving.
10's become 20. Look at the villager gap, just like that.
Not just that,
it went from even to 10 to 20. Oh.
Mist is transitioning. This is a throwaway force now because he's switching over into man-at-arms as well. And HuT has no answer to man-at-arms. He can't have an answer. He can barely afford to keep up the demand of knights. The amount of archers or spearmen you need to deal with this, I don't even want to imagine it right now. It's tough for HuT because HuT, the only way he's ever getting up to his arbitraries is if he pop caps first. He needs to go to 200 before you can even think about castle.
Mister is quite good at this game.
Yeah, he's not too bad, right?
Pretty good at this game. I've got to remember, this is HuT. That HuT is a really, really good player. This isn't like, you know, this is a really good player. Oh my God. Do you know, the only thing about this is if he wins, this is going to just turn into the Mr. Watch, because I don't think we can't show him playing to Muslim if he wins. Oh, God.
Well, at least this fight in the center looks like it'll be won by HuT, but only because Mr. hasn't got all his troops here. Man-at-arms, only a few of them showed up in this area. More are coming through. And the problem is these knights, look how many of them are going down. There's just too many targets for the archers. Despite the fact he counters the spearmen, there's too many. This really is a Zerg experience right now for HuT.
And Mr. keeping up that APM, just raiding non-stop. Great obs work from Lidder there, catching up all the movement in the back of the base.
He's getting into the woodline now as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard from this point.
That's going to be at least 5 villagers going down, at least, because you can't pull them off now. You have to commit. So Mr. He should just kill him.
He's not seen it yet. Oh, now he's seen it.
Okay, he was a little bit delayed, so he probably gets like 2 max, but he could have got 5 or 6 at least.
3,
4. And that'll be it. But it's still a ridiculous lead now. It's 79 to 106.
Yeah. And it's, for those, again, and yes, we do know that Mr. is that good. For those in chat saying that, you know, do we not know that he's a great player? Of course we know Mr. is an unbelievably good player and the better player. But this is, I think the context is for those that don't know, Mr. has been away for a few months.
Yes, and the problem is like comparatives, right? Like you can't, until you see enough like data, like we've seen a reasonable amount of data, we can say that like Mr. does better in Age from Power 4 tournaments than HuT, that's a given. But like, you can't discredit HuT. Like before AoE4, it's not like they had played in the same game, and also I think Mr. like still, in a lot of ways, was underrated as a player, even now, because like this is his opportunity to finally prove himself. He played Age of Empires Online and Mythology before this. Who was watching those 2 games? I'm probably going to see like 2 people put their hands up in chat. That's my point.
Oh, don't get mean. Don't get mean, KP.
I'm not. I'm being realistic here. They're not popular games. Like, okay, let's be real about this. Mister's earnings before he moved into this game, like, didn't really register. I think he's made more money now out of playing AoE4 than he made out of the last 2 games combined. And quite rightly so.
Oh,
he's
that's
a talent
for sure.
player,
That's not,
and he's getting an opportunity to show it.
Yeah. That's 100%. I mean, like an incomparable difference. You say that about a lot of players, though, right? Like, you know, Puppy Paw going from $800 to $10,000 in a couple of days. But yeah, certainly true.
Sure, it's just my point is like the argument that gets made is like, yeah, but who's the best Mythology player or online player? It's like, yeah, but that, like, if you went like, if you made the comparison like, oh, but this guy was the best StarCraft player at one point, like, it's just naturally going to carry more credence to people because the scene was bigger, so there was a lot more contenders. And I'm not saying that he wasn't skilled or Age of Mythology or online players aren't skilled. It's just like, it doesn't get the same level of recognition or notoriety. And maybe that's unfair, but like that's the realistic nature of
100% right. And this is, as others have said, when you play AoE4, it is this great leveler where you're playing against other people that have had this, like from other very competitive games that have had the same amount of time to prepare. Like these guys, like people like Marino with 100 grand of earnings, Beastie with 6-figure, I think now after AoE4 earnings. Like Linux, who's at $300,000, I think, of career
Yep.
earnings, and he's proving himself in that arena. Now look at that villager gap! Oh my
Look how injured they
goodness,
are.
and it's gonna get worse.
And he's sending more out here. Little do they know they're being sent out to their death. They refuse to hang around. They scream Viva la Revolution, decapitate HuT, and force them to get out of game one. Mista will open it with a win.
Wow, did Mr. look strong? Did he look strong, or did he look strong?
I think he looks strong. I mean,
That's look at that. Look at that villager graph. Look at the military just kept on growing.
But
Mr. You could even see there around that way he threw away the units, just didn't care.
It's Mista's style, though. Like, the way he got to play this game is full his comfort, and HuT, I don't feel like he was in his comfort zone at all. What I mean by style, like, Mista's style is very much like a harassy type player. He's very much a tempo aggressor, whether he's playing that type of civ or not. And we've seen this before. Remember when he surprised a lot of people with the English double stable into horseman strat, right? It was like, what the hell is this? English playing tempo in a dynamic way. Like, he wants to do that. If you allow him a combination of dynamic play and harassment, he's going to take it. He's going to rip your hand off and then slap you around the face of it. And I think that's the issue that HuT had here. He never got to play his style. I think HuT, judging by what we saw here, was more content to be like left alone to boom up a little bit and play your casual French aggression. He never got the opportunity to. And this is the difference between, like, you know, champions and, you know, chumps, really. Like, this, and I'm not calling HuT a chump. I'm saying, like, people that play like Roos in this matchup. We've seen plenty of players historically that just sit back. They're like, I'll castle up or I'll 2TC and I won't fight. And that's not a proactive approach to the game, especially on a map like Frisian. You have to play the map, and the map demands that you shed blood.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly how it played out. So, GG to TheMista who take that. I mean, HuT didn't even seem to play badly, just incredibly well played from TheMista. Huge thanks, by the way, during that last game to Basher, We the Bee, Warbot AO, and BMFT Witch coming in with the subs. Very much appreciated.